Mark Kerr was supposed to be the most glorious success story ever.
This gigantic man that they call the smashing machine. It was like
Hold
this
on.
unstoppable force.
Highs from this sport are like no other highs in the world.
I was 11-0, considered the best mixed martial arts fighter in the world.
12,000 people out there cheering for you. That's orgasmic. That's like high.
A lot of eyes were on me to do great things.
So, where did it all go wrong?
I was jamming needles into my arm 10 times a day.
I was fully addicted. I overdosed twice. There was nothing medically they could do.
Oh my God, we're watching this guy right as he falls apart.
I competed against some of the greatest men in the world while I was battling the man in the mirror.
And then it turns to a point where at the end of this whole run, I was left holding absolutely nothing.
This is going to be a wild roller coaster, so let's start with one simple question.
Do you remember when was the last time you lost a fight?
I've never lost a fight.
Was your debut in MMA in Pride?
No, it was in São Paulo, Brazil, in the middle of
Pride is Pride. What? Dang, Mark Kerr. I never heard of Mark Kerr, bro. Damn, what was it? Damn. Bro. Like, comment, subscribe, man. Y'all already know what's going on, man. Y'all want to see more legends get discovered, man? Let me know in the comments y'all want to react to next, man.
Nowhere. Before the internet.
World Valley Judo Championships in style.
He's 6'7".
What we doing,
like
bruh?
370, 380 pounds. I remember looking across the ring from him going, holy fuck, man, this dude's big.
The only thing we were instructed, hey, listen, it's only two things. No eye gouging and no fish hooking. You're allowed to grab clothes, grab hair. You're allowed to headbutt. You're allowed to kick him when he's down, punt him, stomp him.
Started kneeing him in the face, and that set into motion, just kind of like butterflies are gone.
Knees him in the face, and he knees him again.
Beautiful knees in the face. Torelli watching close and stops the fight.
Says they can't handle anymore. That's right.
Barlin's unable to protect himself. I've never seen anybody push him around like Kerr did tonight.
Mark Kerr has a pretty good future, I think, in this sport.
Mark Kerr smashed Paul Varelans in just over 2 minutes. Keep in mind that Varelans was
Shout out to
already a
Lana.
UFC vet by this point.
Shout out to this guy too, by
a
the way.
very nervous Kerr some much needed confidence, especially since he potentially had 2 more fights that night.
It kind of got me fired up. You know, it's like, okay, I can get in there and just manhandle these people.
My name is Master Hook. I am Capoeira. I will become the World Valley Judo Champion.
He's the
I am that guy. I will destroy. Who is it? Where he from, bro?
best capoeira fighter in the world today.
Mark has never seen the type of fighting he's going to see here with this young man.
You're either going to beat somebody's
you
ass
think so,
or
huh?
you're going to get your ass beat. What lanes are you willing to go to try to win?
Hulk trying to get out of the
Oh!
ring. Hulk left the ring. He's taking shots.
He said,
Hulk
fuck all that. I'm good.
backing out
I'm
of the ring.
good.
Should be it. Mark Kerr.
Mark Kerr.
He made that nigga run.
What the fuck was that?
Bro, that nigga said, I'm good, bro. Y'all got that, bro. I'm out.
You're going to get your ass beat. What lanes are you willing to go to try to win?
He really got up out of there.
Hulk left the ring. He's taking shots.
Hulk backing out of the ring.
Backing out of the ring. That
That
should be
should be
it. Mark Kerr.
Mark Kerr.
Nah, I ain't never.
That's 2 fights down. So
I ain't never seen a dude made a dude run out the ring
So now Mark Kerr was in the finals against an elite level jiu-jitsu champion.
The hometown favorite, Fabio Grisol.
Everybody that was there in the audience that night was there for him.
Yeah, he's a tough guy coming off a big win at the World Jiu-Jitsu Championships. He is as good as they come in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
The second that I step in the ring, there's nothing more that I've experienced in my life that can make me feel that alive.
And it's so raw because it's just two people out there competing in the most primitive form possible.
And then I had this animal instinct in me that took over.
Just headbutting and throwing fucking bare knuckles.
Oh, a beautiful
Headbutt in the
headbutt
mouth.
in the face of Gurgeot. May have lost a tooth from that shot there.
No matter what I did to him, no matter how hard I headbutted him,
There was no way he was giving up.
That's a 30-minute time limit, and it's a decision, and it should have been. A great fight, a great warrior.
You like this? It's different. Are we going to see you back?
He was like, I'll never do this again. This was the worst fucking experience of my life. Even though he won, it was the worst experience of his life.
Literally from that one tournament, it catapulted me into the spotlight.
Then he saw the magazine of him on the cover of a magazine. He's looking like a destroyer.
Brazilian Fight Magazine and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and on the cover of it, it says Makina Debater, the machine that smashes. And it's a picture of me just mauling Fabio.
And then that's what got him to jump in 100%.
Mark Kerr went from
Bro, what the fuck are we watching, bro? Now, he's actually a smashing machine. Bro, he was headbutting. Bro, that was
being a nervous, anxious wreck who had never fought before to an instant sensation known as the Smashing Machine. Unfortunately, Kerr got an infection from his bloody hands, so he needed surgery. And I think you'll come to know that we can learn a lot about Mark Kerr by his hospital visits.
You ever hear of Ultimate Fighter?
Everyone didn't know what we were. They go, oh, he's a bar brawler. He's a this guy. He's just a kung fu guy.
You can demonstrate your skills against another guy who has skills of a varying art. I have a wrestling background. I might fight a guy who has a karate background.
And hate each other, though?
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. No.
Like, why do you do that? And I go, well, because I can.
How can you go do that in life?
But you treat it as a profession.
I was trying to be something that I thought didn't exist at the time, and it was called a professional.
To truly understand Mark's desire to be a professional fighter, you have to understand just how decorated his wrestling background was.
Two-time NCAA champion. How important was that going into your MMA career?
Come on, man.
It was fundamental. Wrestling gives you the ability to hold somebody where they don't want to be held for as long as you want to hold them there.
You know, as a wrestler, I didn't
Other
have a bunch
grown
of
man, by the way.
paths coming out of college. I was
holding grown men where they don't want to be held, by the way. Other grown men. Like,
can either be an Olympic wrestler, and if you did 4-year Olympic cycle, you didn't make any money.
Then finally I was like, I gotta do something. I have no money. I have absolutely no money.
So when I got into fighting, it was be a professional, to carry myself as that, to give other wrestlers behind me a path to follow.
Your wrestling pedigree and what you did for wrestling coming into MMA, I don't think it'll ever be matched.
You should know that not only was Mark an NCAA champion, but he defeated Randy Couture to earn that title in 1992.
y'all be telling me the Randy Couture.
Wrestling didn't just give Mark these amazing accolades or just give him the realization that he needed something else to make money. The sport also gave him a very important friend.
I knew Mark Kerr for a long time because I wrestled him in 1988.
You know, I ran into
Mark
when I wrestled, so I had an opportunity to compete
watch
against
Mark
him. And
We're gonna watch him.
You know, I was a lot younger than he was.
I beat him 3 times in wrestling, and I beat him in practice all the time. We were competitors, friends also. We trained together.
Mark is actually a really good guy, and I've been friends with him for a lot of years. I looked up to him for a lot of different reasons.
For the uninitiated, Mark the Hammer Coleman was the first UFC heavyweight champion and one of the scariest fighters.
Mark Coleman, man. I like your stuff, Mark Coleman. I like how you live your life, man. Great man, huh?
Of the late 90s. Having him as a mentor and a friend was a very powerful thing for Mark Kerr. Coleman was one of the primary reasons that Kerr entered the UFC 14 tournament just 6 months after becoming the World Vale Tudo champion. So with Coleman alongside him, the Smashing Machine made his way to the octagon for the first time. Not knowing a very dark
Mark
road
Coleman
ahead
got everybody in the
their
fight.
friendship to the ultimate test.
We get to the big
Damn.
boys.
Mark Kerr put people on though.
He's been
Shout out to
Mark
Coleman.
Coleman plus. Coleman's
Mark
skills and
Coleman.
ferocity coupled with good leg kicks and terrific submissions.
Like wrestlers were telling him to do the UFC back like in the late 90s. They were trying to talk him into it. It was like, dude, I'm not a fighter like that.
The Smashing Machine.
The Brazilians nicknamed him that after his Vale Tudo performance.
Mark was competing in the early days of bare knuckle. You bare knuckle wearing wrestling shoes.
NHB. It was no holds barred.
He was an NCAA champion. He was.
I like it like that though. What you talking about?
Look for him to try to bring it down to the ground.
Mark Kerr was a specimen back in the day. Yeah. Pre-USADA.
My first UFC fights, I mean, I was
Pre-USADA.
275 pounds with, 5% body fat. Could bench press a small car, could squat, a small house. I didn't know what I was going to get in. Could bench press a small car.
You said he was what?
75 pounds with, 5% body fat.
5%
could bench
body
press a small car, could squat, a small house. I didn't know what I was going to get into, but I'm going to make myself as big and as strong as I possibly can. Nobody knew what to expect when you're in the octagon.
The second the bell rings, you can just look at some people and you can just tell they're scared to death. And the first type of assertion on that other person, you can feel, almost instantly if the person's going to give or not.
Oh, a couple of big knees and a couple of right hands. Another right hand.
Oh, Harnstein's in trouble here.
You feel this person just let go and totally wither away. That's a pretty powerful thing.
McCarthy steps in because Moni Harnstein was basically defenseless.
2 minutes and 23 seconds.
Beat the brakes off of him.
Mark demolished Hornstein in just over 2 minutes. Keep in mind that by this point, the UFC had separated itself into 2 4-man tournaments, with Mark competing in the heavyweight tournament. So Kerr just needed to win one more fight to be crowned the UFC heavyweight tournament winner.
Bobish has the size. Kerr 2 years older. How will this one play out?
Bobish was fucking huge too. Right. Bobish was a giant of a man.
He's just a big freaking dude, man.
There's big, and then there's that big, but also talented. Right. And that was Mark Kerr.
I'm not out here to see how tough I am on my feet. I'm out here to win the contest.
He got on top of him. He got side control. He stuck his chin in Dan Bobish's eye socket and just fucking yanked his back of his head into his fucking eye socket. I mean, the guy's in fucking agony.
He's tapping out. That's it. Now we've got a champion in Mark Kerr.
That's a wrestler for you, man.
The tap out.
Winner of the heavyweight tournament. His name is Mark Kerr.
This is girl
with Mark Coleman. What are your thoughts about? Would you ever possibly meet him in the octagon?
Look at Joe Rogan.
Right now, it's not even a thought. I'm getting my feet wet in here, and I'm just taking it one step at a time, and we'll see how things develop.
Whoa, Joe Rogan.
That's crazy, Joe Rogan. That's crazy, Joe Rogan. Yo. I bet Joe Rogan, bro. Joe Rogan love his life, bro. He had the best life ever, bro. Interviewing legends, get to talking about them later on in this podcast, having nostalgic moments, bro. Joe Rogan lived the best life.
I just won a UFC tournament, and you're already asking if he wants to fight his buddy. Come on.
What you mean?
That would never happen. Besides, Kerr had more important things on his mind, like reflecting
They're the same weight, ain't it?
I realized after my first couple fights that I don't know how to fight. I know how to wrestle. I know how to make people wrestle me.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to fight.
It takes a lot of humility for an undefeated
Khabib said we don't care, let's wrestle.
And UFC tournament champion to admit that they have a lot to improve on. However, there weren't a lot of striking and MMA trainers at this time that you could rely on. So who could the Smashing Machine turn to?
A lot of the intensity and a lot of the technical expertise, I can...
The palm striking god, the Pinterest god.
Who could the Smashing Machine turn to?
A lot of the intensity and a lot of the technical expertise.
Shout out.
I can only get here. I had a really good relationship with Boss. He's a great guy.
He was talking about he needed a striking coach, and if I was interested in training him, and then we started training.
We had a really good combination. I am impressed with his power, his strength. I never felt somebody who was so strong.
And then we just became, really good friends. He was just such a good guy. I brought him up into striking.
It's nice to be able to spar with somebody that you know is going to help correct certain things that I'm doing technically wrong.
Mark Kerr training under the legendary Boss Rutan was a diabolical combination. Unstoppable wrestling, paired with vicious striking, and incredible submission threat. Nobody stood a chance at UFC 15.
Mark Kerr, he would stand while he's waiting in the hallway to go up, and he has a Ziploc bag full with M&M's, butterscotch, and he's like this.
What the fuck?
Stop eating that. And now it makes me feel good. I go, it's so bad for you.
Great stop. And he takes on Mark Kerr.
M&M's and butterscotch.
Currently, I'm a hand-to-hand instructor and a founder of my own style, which we call RIP. It's the most expeditious and effective form of hand-to-hand combat in the world. RIP rules, and all others rest in peace.
The Ranger goes down.
One knee. That's one knee.
That is over. It is over.
At 19 seconds by knockout.
19 seconds. Got him out there in 19 seconds, man.
Victory in UFC history at 19 seconds. How are you feeling now going into the finals?
I feel good. I didn't really expend a lot of energy. The nerves are down now. I feel good. I feel good tonight.
Whenever Greg Scott wakes up, somebody asks him if he still stands by his RIP combat system. But in any case, with his first match easily out of the way, Mark Kerr was now in the finals of the UFC 15 heavyweight tournament.
My thoughts are pretty pure. I'm gonna hurt him before he hurts me, and if he hurts me, I'm gonna hurt him twice as bad.
I need to enforce my will on you until you give it to me. And that, what you're giving to me, is your will.
There's like 2 reactions you can have from a punch. You can cower away from it, or you can want to punish the person for punching you.
Bro, back in the day, they was thinking different back in the day, bro. The mentality was just different, bro. Vicious. I love it, though. He's not the same nowadays, man.
I developed the second one.
He gave his back to Kerr. Look for that rear naked choke. There it is. There it is. There it is.
He got him quickly. He turned and tapped. 54 seconds.
Bro, he was. Look at this fucking. Bro, he just. How do you even get that
With the
big?
champion Mark, the specimen Kerr. And who'd you like to thank before we get?
I really wish my girlfriend Dawn was here with me.
In the span of a 9-month
Girlfriend
period, Mark Kerr
Dom.
won the World Valley Tudo Heavyweight Tournament,
Shout out
UFC
Dom,
14
man.
Heavyweight Tournament, and UFC 15 Heavyweight Tournament. That's enough to excite even this distinguished gentleman in attendance for UFC 15. But before we see what's in store for Kerr after this tournament, he mentioned someone very important in his post-fight interview.
I'm not close to my family right now. The closest person I am
Shout out
is to
Don. Don
It
Staples.
definitely is a passionate relationship, and I'm sure that's what's kept us together.
She really took over a role of organizing my house and getting my bills and paying them, and we kind of worked together.
Mark's the most important thing to me, and I've got to do what it takes to make that work, because I want him in my life.
If that relationship doesn't exist on some level, I pretty much don't have any family.
I want children really bad, and I think Mark would be a wonderful father.
Dawn Staples was Mark Kerr's longtime girlfriend, and they just make the most adorable couple, don't they? Now, we'll get back to Dawn very shortly because...
Shout out to Don, holding down a real one. When you can find a woman that'll hold you down, don't want nothing else in her life but the best for you, boy, don't leave them. It's hard to find them. And for all the old folks out there that got their wife, I wish we was back in them days, bro. But it's 2026, man. We fight for our life, man. The Gen Zers are fighting for our life. That's all I'm gonna say.
As it
But shout out
stands,
to Dom,
there
man.
are some big problems with the
Shout out to
UFC.
Dom.
People don't understand, at the time the UFC was just, it basically was almost extinct.
There was a horrible stigma attached to the UFC back then.
Grappling.
John McCain had come out with this whole thing.
What it was at the beginning was human cockfighting. It was.
This is human cockfighting here.
Sort of like human cockfighting, in my view.
And ultimate fighting. At the time that I ended up fighting for the UFC, it was only legal in 4 states. You just couldn't make any money doing it.
So imagine
That's why people be like, Khabib, bruh.
that you are
It
the
is what it
biggest
is. It's
name in
fighting.
fighting, and the sport is getting stigmatized and suppressed across the country. So when a new opportunity comes knocking, it becomes very appealing.
Pride started up at that time.
Pride had saw my Valley Tudo fights in Brazil, and then they saw my two tournament fights in the UFC, and then they recruited me to go fight over in Japan. We want you to fight Royce Gracie, and we'd be willing to pay you $145,000.
I thought Royce Gracie only fought you.
Where do I sign? And I had this poster that I
How much he said?
Fight Royce Gracie.
So that's y'all know Horse Gracie reaction coming soon. But bro, Pride is damn near almost better than UFC, but we ain't gonna talk about it.
And we'd be willing to pay you $145,000.
And you go,
where do I sign? And I had this poster that I'd never seen before.
That's hard.
Royce Gracie.
That's like a
facing
video
off of each
game.
other.
That's right. Mark Kerr jumped ship from the UFC to fight for rival organization Pride. And his first
140K?
opponent would be Royce Gracie, the first UFC champion. That's pretty wild. But there were some problems.
You had a lawsuit with UFC.
The contract I had with him was for 3 tournaments. UFC was claiming basically that they own my rights worldwide.
Get
that
the
I had
fuck?
no
Yeah,
ability to have an individual fight.
Yeah,
While Mark Kerr was
brother.
doing a ton of press, media, and autograph signings for this fight, the UFC sued Mark Kerr for breaching their contract and signing with Pride. This began a lengthy court battle, ultimately resulting in a settlement and Kerr being able to fight with Pride. However, by then, the Royce Gracie fight was no longer possible, so Kerr fought a different opponent for his debut at Pride 2.
Mark Kerr,
She was hating.
they call him the specimen, tremendously conditioned athlete.
Competing in Japan in the height
Right.
of Pride. The matches were huge. They did the Saitama Super Arena. It was 90,000
That's
people.
crazy.
One of the true bad boys of the kickboxing circuit,
Bro,
Branko
Pride,
Cicic,
bro.
is looking into the eyes of one of the most feared strikers in the world.
He fought Branko Cicic, and Branko was constantly holding the ropes. And I remember this was one moment, trying to take him down, and Cicic hold the ropes and start with one arm and then start elbowing him in the neck.
See, he's elbowing to the back of the head. That's not legal. That is not legal. And so Kerr is really getting rough.
He freaking ripped him off the ropes, and then he slammed on the floor, and he started freaking annihilating the guy.
This got real personal real quick. It took 3 referees to pull Kerr off of Branko Cicic. Mark Kerr apparently has won by disqualification, and rightfully so.
That was the thing with Mark. He was such a sweetheart, but once the snap came,
He would try,
was
hey.
so violent.
Just would like to thank everyone for coming out
He
tonight and
snapped.
apologize for the fight and the rope grabbing. I came out here tonight to show you for my first time in Japan
that I'm a great fighter, and I want you to understand that I appreciate every single one of you coming out here tonight.
In Japan, they paid me in cash. You know, I'd like leave with like stacks of hundreds. I didn't fucking know exactly what to do with all this shit.
Kerr's Pride debut, although a little strange, was successful. But going into Pride 3 just 3 months later, you should know a little bit about Mark Kerr's relationship with substances and how they affect his health.
When you do anabolic steroids and you do them in high amounts, it messes with your liver enzymes. And I remember sitting across the table from the doctor and going, do you realize that this is 8 times the normal amount you're supposed to have? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I just want you to be aware of that. And I'm like, okay, I'm aware of it.
Going into the fight with my blood pressure, it was like 150 over 125, and they cleared me to fight. Literally, the doctor, I remember the doctor looked at me and goes, a little high. Yeah, you're good.
Mark, specimen, Kerr, undefeated in mixed martial arts.
No one can sustain that level of juice for more than a few years.
Cardiologist, who's a friend of mine, he goes, you should have stroked out. You should have bled from your eyes, bled from your ears. Wow. You should have, I mean, all these different scenarios that something should have happened.
Here we go. He could have ripped his arm off right now. He was screaming already. He continues to be undefeated in mixed martial arts, and the
could have ripped his arm off.
The sky was indeed the
I
limit.
would say he could have ripped his arm off. My thing is, he was doing that much steroids. Well, imagine what Alistair was on though, dang. He couldn't have been on what's name was on though, but
Mark Kerr.
Bro.
But knowing what we know now, things were a bit complicated at this time in Mark's life. You see, around this time, Mark was approached to film an HBO documentary on the rise of an amazing fighter. But as it turns out, that wasn't the story here.
They thought when they were filming him that they were filming the baddest motherfucker on the planet Earth, and they were like, oh my God, we're watching this guy right as he falls apart.
It's so scary to begin with, you know, and then to take some of the fear out of it, you know, you end up doing some things that you don't want to do.
They went to him to film a documentary when Kerr was on top of the world, smashing people. And what they found is a guy who is just about to lose it.
You know, benzodiazepines, you know, Percocets, and then you start getting the liquid injectable stuff, you know, and they're all opiates.
As I started to get into, you know, high levels of competition, the thing that my body wanted was it didn't want to feel pain. So eventually I used narcotics like Vicodin and stuff like that.
That guy was on a million different drugs in front of them. He was doing drugs in front of them, slamming painkillers into his fucking veins, and he was just sitting there like, and letting them film the whole thing.
It wasn't monitored like it is now.
12 doctors not even knowing what they're doing to you and just loading you up with pretty much fucking heroin. It's nuts.
That guy was fighting the toughest fighters in the world while he was shooting heroin. They didn't know that he was at the verge of collapse, and they caught him right when it was all falling apart.
You know, your body learns how to deal with the substance, so 2 pills suddenly are not enough anymore. There need to be 3 pills, and soon 3 becomes 6, and it goes really fast, and then boom, suddenly you're addicted.
You know, I was jamming needles into my arm 10 times a day.
Mark Kerr, the smashing machine, a modern-day gladiator, was a slave to every minute of his existence due to his hyper-dependence on his addiction. And unfortunately, his vice heavily affected his personal and his professional life, because as it got worse, he distanced himself.
My thing is, hold on. So HBO was like, so HBO was like, we're gonna film you for another show, or we're gonna film for you. Like, that don't even sound right. So he was just out there, he didn't care. He was just like, I'm gonna show him, it don't even matter. Damn.
From his trainer, Boss Rutan.
In the beginning, I had no clue what it was. I never expected it was on pain pills. I never expected that.
Once you turn that corner, once you cross that invisible line, there's no going back. It just turns into a sloppy existence.
Now I understood why he was always sweating. Suddenly everything started falling together, and then I realized, oh my God, it's an addiction. I didn't know he was really addicted, because you can't tell.
The genesis of all this for me starts back when I was fighting, and just the amount of pressure I put on myself to perform, and
Badge Room was really in his corner, bro.
Ways to do rehab for my body, wanting the instant relief.
As far as the pain threshold, my pain threshold was off the scale. I mean, I can get hit pretty damn hard and just keep going on.
Through the years of competing, I have competed at less than I would consider my top level because of the narcotic use.
Because I would just dope myself up to a point where basically functioning on all these injuries that should be addressed and totally ignoring it, masking it with doing pain med.
That's it, man. It's going to be over. Trust me. Yeah, well, that's what's happening. He's really starting to put a beating on him now, and Hugo's trying to jump out of the ring. The fight's over. He doesn't want to fight.
That nigga running, bro.
Even while under the influence of his
Had
addiction,
people
Mark Kerr
running.
was still able to decimate his opponents and perform at a high level.
Bro, he had opponents running, eh? Like, don't even want to fight him. Run out the ring. Bro.
In case in point, 4 months after Pride 4, he won the ADCC World Championships, basically the Olympics of submission grappling. And at the end of 1999, he earned a first-round submission over Nobuhiko Takada at Pride 6. So, with an output like that, it only allowed Mark to justify this behavior further.
You know, take a couple of Vicodin, I can train later on that day. You know, take a couple of Vicodin, I can go to the gym later on.
The part that hurts is that when everybody else around you can see how fucked up you are, except you can't see yourself, but thinking you're right on top of your game.
That's exactly right. I mean, we already discussed how Mark's struggle with opiates caused him to see his trainer less frequently, but it also affected his relationship with his girlfriend, who originally supported his MMA career.
At first, I thought it was really great because I knew he was so talented, and I knew it was a skilled fight as opposed to a street fight. And he makes a lot more money than most fighters do. I didn't realize what it entailed. Mark said to me, "Don't ever leave me." And I said, "There's only one way that I'll leave you." And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "If you don't get clean, if you don't get off drugs."
I think it's completely reasonable for Don to want Mark to...
Yeah, but bro, you supposed to be with me till the wheels fell off, baby. You supposed to be with me to the death, to the dawn.
overcome his addiction. However, Mark's relationship with Dawn was a little more complicated than we originally thought.
The relationship between him and his wife, Dawn, it was freaking very toxic.
But Mark told me that he has to fight and she comes home drunk and starts kicking the door. You can't do that. You know, you have to be relaxed.
People viewed me at one point, you know, as the baddest dude on the planet. Right. And I go home and I have a woman verbally abuse me.
I believe that was the reason he was taking those freaking pain medications the whole time. He was shooting himself up at Newbane, right?
Some days we're really good together. Some days we laugh and everything's fine. And then I don't know what happens those other days.
We would get physical altercations. We would fight each other. And I'd figure like, man, okay, dudes don't do that. I've never had the ability to say what I need to say to
for what though? What is niggas arguing about every day? Only thing I can think about is cheating, bro. But what is people arguing about every day?
What I need to do to be able to have a healthy relationship. I never.
She looked crazy though.
You have to get separated. That's what I think. You know, that's it.
Mark Kerr was an 11-0
Shit, listen to Bass.
MMA phenom.
A boss. So listen to Boss, man.
Just a man in an abusive relationship and hiding a crippling addiction from his trainer. The Smashing Machine was on a collision course with reality. And unfortunately for him, that collision came sooner rather than later. But before we get to the Wolf Chanchin fight, if you got this far, you might as well hit subscribe.
Definitely shout out to this boy, I don't know how to say his name, Rivero. I know his last name is Rivero, man. Shout out to him, man. His UFC videos
I
tough.
am practically the Smashing Machine of MMA YouTube. Wouldn't you agree, Jason?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd say you're probably really...
MMA on point. He make good videos
now, back to Pride 7.
Then he fights Igor Vovchanchin. Are you kidding me? Do you remember how that fight went down?
He's not extremely skilled. He's just very tough. You know you're going to be in for a war.
I knew when I fought him, it was going to hurt. There's just no other way it's going to be.
He's going to be one of the toughest fights I've had. Just that he has a lot of experience.
This is a true clash of two giants in the sport. Vovchanchin has never faced a wrestler the level of Mark Kerr.
So at the time, there's no official rankings, but I was considered the best mixed martial arts fighter in the world. It's just crazy to even think about it, because when this was going down, it's like, it was a really fucked up time in my life. I was fully addicted to opiates, and all the pressure, I was 11-0. I was 11-0. I was the presumptive #1 ranked heavyweight. A lot of eyes were on me to do great things.
On the other side of the coin, Kerr has never faced a striker possibly.
Damn, bruh. People don't even think about that shit. You watching everybody in the stands, all the fans, whole time he going through it. Igor Vovchanchin. I think y'all put him in the comments before, too. If I'm not mistaken. I think y'all seen his name in the comments before. Let me know in the comments y'all want me to read him. I think I seen his name in the comments. Igor Vovchanchin. I think I'm saying that all wrong, but bro, that's crazy, bro. It's crazy, bro.
It's dangerous. It's Igor Vovchanson. This is a monumental battle.
I knew it before he even went in the ring. Mark barely trained for this fight. 2 weeks prior to this fight, we were out drinking, partying.
I was in no condition to fight.
He was able to take down Igor Vovchanson relatively easy, but he couldn't pass his guard and couldn't finish him.
Igor was the type of guy that literally you'd have to beat him to death to get him to quit.
Would never pass the guard, never tried passing the guard. Vovchanson had a decent guard. He had a good survival guard. And Mark Kerr admittedly never worked on passing. He just felt that he could just stay on the guard and pound someone, but he couldn't do it to Vovchanson. And then eventually, after a couple stand-ups, he was tired and he couldn't take him down no more. Mark Kerr was folding, and that's when Igor Vovchanson lit him up.
Was there a controversy with that fight?
Oh, there's controversy with Vovchanson that he kneed me.
The illegal knee.
Yeah.
A big knee by Vovchanson. Another knee to the top of the head, and Kerr is out. Oh my God!
Yeah, he kneed on top of the head. Can you? I thought you could knee in Prado. Am I tripping? But I seen Wonderlay, bro.
By Igor Vovchanson.
I think it was a foul. There are no knees allowed in the ground. He's in all fours.
Right. The referee has raised Igor Vovchanson's arm in victory.
Oh, Igor illegally kneed him to the head.
Vovchanson foul, no stop. Vovchanson
Twice.
foul, no stop. And then I'm on the ground getting ready for him to call foul. He said match over. Wrong.
Changed the rules so much, knees were illegal at the time, so he knocked Kerr out with a knee. They called it a no contest.
He will come back. He's still champion. He's a champion. He always will be.
Some of the most emotional times I've ever had in my entire life are post-fight.
It was the hardest thing to watch somebody that you love being hurt like that.
Mark just lost, and he's completely down, and she walks in, and she says, you look like a beginner. You look like a freaking loser.
Who said that?
What are you doing out there?
I never had to feel that feeling of being...
She said that? Yeah. I don't even know what yeah. I said get out. She said what? I take my shot out of the way. Ain't no shout out, Don. She wildin'. What? You like a loser. Gotta put my life on the line for us. To feed us. Is you crazy?
Like that.
Mark just lost, and he's completely down, and she walks in, and she says, you look like a beginner. You look like a freaking loser. What were you doing out there?
I never had to feel that feeling of being scared because he won all the time.
And I go, get the fuck out of here. Who's doing this? Who does that to somebody you love?
I mean, I'm devastated, absolutely devastated. Tears start coming down, and I just start like this. It's just a different type of emotional, like you just no control over it.
And you don't have any strong pain medication, narcotics, like opiates or like... No.
Despite this fight being ruled a no contest, Mark was knocked unconscious in the ring. We all saw what it looks like for the smashing machine to fall. And on top of that, his personal life wasn't getting any better. As you saw, his immediate instinct was to grab onto the only thing he felt could relieve him of his pain. But that decision caught up with him very quickly.
I didn't know what opiate withdrawal was. I didn't know that you get sick.
I've gone through all these routes, trying to intellectually weave my way around it, say it's fucked up from top to bottom.
The reality of where you get to with addiction is you get to where it takes your sanity away. That's a fight. I mean, any kind of addiction wants to kill you.
Slowly, month by month by month, it's like I lose a little more control, little more control, little more control.
That's the insanity of the disease of addiction. You continue to do this pattern of behavior, which is so self-destructive and harming, and you just continue in it until you don't. All diseases have a pathology. They have a beginning, you can trace it, and it has a distinct pathology, and at the end of all that pathology is death.
Mark's been admitted to the hospital because they're not sure that he's going to make it. He can't stay awake for more than 30 seconds.
I got so bad at one point, the doctors had said there was nothing medically they could do.
I think he pretty much went wild, went crazy, just did everything he could get his hands on.
I overdosed twice.
I asked the doctor, is he going to be okay? And the doctor told me they don't know. That's why he's in here. That's why he's in here.
A lot of people go down that road of addiction and they never come back.
If this doesn't fucking shake you up, man, I don't know what's gonna find out. And if you don't fucking get some help, you're not gonna see the new year, man. You're not gonna make it.
And from there, it progressed into me understanding that I had a problem, understanding that's gonna survive, that it would be my body that had to fight it.
After this health scare, Mark checked into a 28-day drug rehab. This did postpone a very important fight for him, which I'll get to shortly, but it was far more important for Mark to take his sobriety seriously, which, whether he knew it or not, posed a different set of problems.
I think losing to Igor or whatever, the no contest, it was a blessing in disguise because I think it helped lead to him getting help, and I'm just very happy that he did. You know, I had been concerned about him for a while.
He needed me really bad when he was using.
I think he loves me. I guess that's like my biggest fear, is what if he realizes now that he's sober that
he don't
doesn't
need
really
your
love
goof
me like he
ass.
thought he loved me.
The overall goal was to be sober, and that means sober from painkillers, sober from, everything. I still haven't figured it out, whether or not I could do this and do it sober.
Mark Kerr's attempt at complete sobriety put his love life into a precarious position, and it made him question his own ability.
The fact that HBO was going around this man's life the whole time was insane.
Right. To be able to compete without his crutch. These are very big problems when the biggest tournament of your life is rapidly approaching.
That was a one.
That's the heavyweight UFC tournament?
It was Coleman, me, Sakuraba, Hoist Gracie, Igor Volchanshin, Gary Goodridge, Fujita. That's a one-off. That was.
Now, some of them names I heard in the comments, some of the names we watched already. No, I don't think we watched none of them. Mark Coleman, Hoist Gracie, no. Goodrich, no. Nah. Bro. That's a hell of a tournament.
Never, ever. You can do it. You can pull it off.
The Pride 2000 Grand Prix was a once-in-a-lifetime event consisting of the
Pride
biggest
2000
events in the
Grand
sport,
Prix,
where every man will participate in a qualifying round, and then 5 months later, a full-on 8-man tournament would take place where one man would win the entire thing. The tricky thing is, Mark Coleman was gonna be in this tournament, and everyone's expectation was that Mark Kerr and Mark Coleman would do well enough to meet each other in this tournament.
It's a tournament that everybody wants to be in. Unfortunately, me and Mark are both in this tournament. We are good friends, but the winner's gonna get paid a lot of money, and neither one of us are in position to turn it down.
Mark Kerr would have been the epic fight. I would have had to fight him in the semifinals.
It really feels like with this tournament, we are setting up the inevitable clash between the Hammer and the Smashing Machine. But before any of that would even matter, Mark Kerr had to defeat Ensign Inoue.
And Ensign's good. And he's a real good technician. Ensign's going to take real aggressive. You have to watch out.
Ensign Inoue from Shuto.
Ensign Inoue.
Mark Kerr.
Let Ensign come and go back. Just don't let him hit you. And then take him down. And hit him in the head.
And there it is. Mark Kerr on a majority decision.
Mark Kerr completely shut down
Was he
Ensign Inoue
sober?
with a classic takedown and smash decision to earn a spot in the Grand Prix. Keep in mind that Mark Coleman also won his qualifying round. But the Grand Prix was 5 months from now, so to kill some time in between, Kerr decided to compete in ADCC once again.
I fight Ensign Inoue in January 2000. I do Abu Dhabi in either late March or early April, so that's 8 bouts. And I'm proud of what I did in ADCC.
Mark won both the heavyweight and absolute divisions of ADCC in the year 2000, making him a 3-time ADCC champion, all while still technically being an undefeated fighter. But remember, during this time, Mark was also participating in a different fight to maintain his sobriety.
It wasn't a single person fight. I needed people around me, a support team to help me fight this disease.
I did make Mark a promise that I wouldn't drink when he was here, and I didn't keep my promise.
My sponsor's pretty insistent about me getting away from Dawn because she's still drinking and using, and me being in the environment, it's just a matter of time. I just feel really uncomfortable in the relationship. I mean, continuously, a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing. I just want the hell out of this thing.
Mark told me he didn't think the relationship was gonna work, so I got my stuff and I left.
Look, when I say this relationship was toxic, it was toxic. Mark wanted to be sober, and Don was an alleged alcoholic. But remember, Mark isolated himself from his family, so when all the highs of fighting go away, he really only has one person to turn to.
After a fight, I feel vulnerable. I want that comfort or security, or I want someone to be able to share, not the high of what I did.
That comfort or security comes with stuff, and it lasts for how long? So you want comfort or security, but it comes with baggage.
Emotional depression that comes afterward.
We've been trying to figure out where we're at with the relationship and where he's at emotionally and mentally.
So we're at a point now where Mark's sponsor wants him away from Don, Mark's trainer Boss Ruin wants him away from Don, and the tension in this relationship keeps escalating.
I got home and she was just being really difficult, and I got really angry.
What's she mad about?
She wouldn't leave the house. 3 hours later, the only way I got out of the house was to call the police.
According to Mark, Don threatened and even inflicted some form of self-harm to try to convince him to let her stay in the house. This situation is completely f***ed, and as I'm sure you can already guess, these two did not stay away from each other for too long. So let me ask you, if this was the kind of struggle going on in the back of your mind, how do you think you would perform going in to the most important night of your life?
Winning in this event would be a great crowning piece for my comeback from where I was.
Which fighter would you like to win? Like either Mark Kerr or Fujita?
Difficult question. I'm not going to answer that question.
If Mark Kerr wins, like, isn't it hard for you to fight Mark?
It's going to be very difficult. We've been friends for a long time. I know him very well, but I have a family to support.
Me and Mark Kerr were supposed to meet in the semifinals of the Pride Grand Prix. That is one of the fights that everybody wishes they could have saw. Me and Kerr,
and then they fight.
I just try not to think about him or our friendship because it is something that's going to be difficult.
The saying that I have is when I train, I don't train my body, I train my mind, and I think that comes into play.
One of the fights that Mark fought was a pride fight against Fujita.
Kerr was supposed to destroy Fujita.
I knee that motherfucker 4 times in the face. He staggers and then just keeps coming forward. Literally in my head, and I don't do this when I'm fighting. I go, oh,
Despite Mark doing well early with his top control and ground and pound, Fujita was undeterred, eventually getting top control himself, where he relentlessly attacked the smashing machine for minutes on end.
Fujita had Mark down. He was down on all fours, and Mark didn't move. He couldn't move, and he was getting rocked.
Well, he's doing nothing. He's just covering up. He's not thinking or anything, and he's just taking shots.
On his face, you could see that Mark was still with it. He had his wits, but he was getting rocked.
Kerr's got to do something. Fujita is not letting him think, though. As soon as Kerr makes a move, he starts nailing him.
I said, well, what was going through your mind at that time? He said, I didn't want to let anybody down.
Kerr is...
What the hell you mean? Fight back!
Doing virtually nothing at this point. I can't imagine that Mr. Kazuyuki Fujita will not get the victory.
He lost to Fujita, shockingly.
Mark's first official loss of his career is a very painful watch. Even though he didn't get finished, he appeared very broken. If there is a silver lining to this, it's that Mark would not have to fight his good friend Mark Coleman, who ended up winning the entire tournament. As I'm sure you can imagine, Mark Kerr was very vulnerable after this event. So it shouldn't surprise you that just 10 days after this loss, he and Don Staples got married in Las Vegas. I think it's easy to judge Mark for that decision. I'm sure even he regrets it. But I think a lot of us can understand wanting to fill the void that loneliness presents.
Yeah.
Professionally speaking, the Smashing Machine was now at a crossroads. He could either allow his career to keep sliding downwards, or he could make a statement, not only to the world, but to himself.
A year ago, he was the most feared fighter in the sport. He's had a couple of subpar performances. He needs to win big to get back on top.
What are we going to see tonight from Mark Kerr? Better performance than last time. I want to go out and have a fearless, dominant fight and just show him that I'm the best fighter in the world right now.
Could submit it from here. It happened.
Submitted him. What was that? What kind of submission was that?
With a can opener neck crank.
I want you all to know.
A can opener neck crank.
I'm in this ring fighting for you. Every single one of you. Every time I step in, I am here for you. I want to show you, the fans, that I am the most dominant fighter in the world.
With a first-round submission victory over a World Combat Sambo champion, this was potentially the reignition of the old Mark Kerr, but without the need for a crutch. So it was only natural for Mark to now want revenge on Igor Vovchanchyn for the illegal knees the year before.
I know in the year 2000 that I am a modern-day gladiator. 1,000 years ago, I'm at the front of the gates defending the city. And that's the kind of feeling that I get when
I'm at the front of the gate.
Stay on his feet.
I like
Mark take him down.
It's not surprising that Mark Kerr was able to take Vovchanchyn down. But in top position, Kerr wasn't doing much. It was very unexciting, but it won him the first round. However, in round 2, Vovchanchyn found his target on the feet.
Good right hand by Vovchanchyn. Kerr's in trouble. He landed 2 big right hands.
I was bleeding. I think Kerr is bleeding.
Vovchanchyn did serious damage in the stand-up and even on the ground, which forced the match into overtime, where Vovchanchyn completely took over and earned a decision.
Damn.
I'm not going to pretend that it was completely downhill from this point on, because it wasn't. Case in point, Kerr won the 2001 ADCC Superfight Championship to become a 4-time ADCC champion, although he did lose the title years later. From this point on, though, it was clear to everyone that Kerr was slightly losing his edge, and there was no clear direction as to where he should go.
Mark, you're at the crossing of your career. This fight can make and break you. Do you still think you have the tools to overcome your few losses that you had in the past?
What I think the last 2 times that I have lost that I've missed is the desire to go out there and fight. And once you lose that desire, you know, some athletes never recapture that and others do. Tonight, I guess the question will be answered whether or not I've reached the end of my career.
What a kick by Heath Herring!
Oh!
It was a huge right roundhouse kick. Kerr's in trouble. Kerr's out. The fight is over.
He put him down.
Unbelievable. He's back in action. Mark Smashing Machine Kerr. What is it that made you say, okay, bang, I want to go back in the fight game? What was the switch?
You know, the switch, I still have a lot of unanswered questions. I love the thrill. I like the anxiety. There isn't anything else out there that really does this for me. I don't know if I'm going to get in there and get KO. You know, I really don't know. And I think at the end of the day, I have a lot of questions.
I think he's carrying a lot of weight on his shoulders right now. I mean, the stage, the whole world is watching him.
And now the world will find out, does Mark Kerr still have it?
Obviously, Mark, disappointing, to say the least. But what happened?
I shot in a double leg. When I picked him up in the air, I really wanted to drive his body down into the ground.
And the takedown by Kerr.
It was my body weight, his body weight, straight onto my head. And it was a flash knockout.
Oh, this is not right. Look at this. Oh my God, what happened?
Mark Kerr.
It was a flash knockout.
Knocks himself out. Where does Mark Kerr go from here?
Because you don't want to end up with a freak.
No. I'll end up fighting you in the parking lot if that's the end of my career.
So you're definitely not done.
No, I'm not done.
At this point, Mark was 13.
Damn.
Still a fairly respectable record,
knocked himself
but things
out?
got a little complicated. See, Mark and his wife Dawn brought to life a beautiful baby boy.
Okay,
so
shout
when
out
Mark
to the baby
got cut
boy.
from Fight Fighting Championships, he needed money now more than ever.
I should have retired. The industry had grown a ton, so there was a lot of regional promoters that were offering just stupid money. I mean, my first fight back, I ended up fighting in the IFL, and they ended up paying me like $75,000, and I had been out of the ring for 2.5 years. And it was the same thing with a lot of the other promotions.
Once he stopped the painkillers, his career kind of went south. So it was almost that the painkillers put him in such a phase that he was able to fight.
To be honest with my fans and to be honest with myself, as a competitor, it sucked because I had to eat a lot of my pride. Just fighting for money, it's something I said I would never do. But, you know, when you get to a point where it's like I had a young child, you know, my body was broken down and I still needed to make money. So a lot of the fights that I took that I should not have taken because the money was too tempting to turn down.
Mark Kerr just tapped out. He just tapped out. Mustafa Al-Turk has secured the TKO.
Mark was fighting on the regional scene and losing to guys that couldn't hold a candle to the prime Smashing Machine. It's unclear to me when this began, but eventually Mark began to struggle with alcohol quite a bit, going in and out of addiction, perhaps to cope with the fact that alongside his declining fighting career and his failing marriage, he was now a car salesman.
So sometimes I feel maybe not regret that I'm working here, just kind of feel like that my talents are gone unused. One of the harder parts for me to adjust to life now is that I've lived the life I've lived. There's nothing in your day-to-day life that's
Well, what was he doing with the money that he was getting for the other fights?
going to replace the adrenaline that I felt before I got into the ring. I've fought in front of 60, 70,000 people. I've won world championships. I've been paid hundreds of $1,000s to do it, and now I just live a regular life. You know,
that's crazy.
Hard. You know,
nah, bro, the legend's son live regular, bro. That's insane.
Part of recovery is, you know, I'm just trying to do what I need to do today. Whether or not 10 years or 20 years from now, I don't know if I'll be sober or not, but I'm only trying to be sober for 1 minute, 1 second at a time. You know, some days are harder than others, just like anything else. I look at it like I have a disease, I know what the cure is, and I have to continue to take my medicine no matter what. Otherwise, I get sick again.
It pains me to say that these last 2 victories would be the last times we would see the Smashing Machine get his hand raised.
That much I regret. I mean, that's just being honest with myself and with my fans. If I could take some of those fights back and rewind the clock, I would, but I can't, obviously.
It looks tight. He's got it. He did it!
Although there's no footage of most of these losses, Kerr kept fighting and kept getting finished on the regional scene all the way up to his final fight in 2009 against King Mo.
And then it turns to a point where it just gets really twisted around. And at the end of this whole run here, I was left holding absolutely nothing.
Stop the fight, man.
Mark Kerr ended his career with a record of 15, 11, and 1. It's clear to all of us now that the Smashing Machine could not salvage a career that was spiraling out of control, or even salvage a marriage with Dawn Staples that ended in separation by 2015. But even if he could not salvage these, the very least he could do after this entire journey was salvage the man he had been numbing into non-existence for the sake of his son.
Even though that I was trying to be a father to my son, you know, I hid behind, you know, drinking, and I hid behind working.
Look at my son, and he's an awesome kid. He's gonna need his dad, you know. He's gonna need his dad around for as long as I possibly can be.
One day, literally, my son just comes up to me. He's just like, "Dad," like, I get emotional when I talk about it, but, you know, just like, can you stop drinking?
My son Bryce looked at me and said, "Dad, I know today's hard. I know you feel like you have to drink, but would you stop tomorrow?"
You know, and I've said it before. I thought it was going to be like another empty promise. You know, I said, sure, you know, like, okay.
7 years later, here I am.
Mark Kerr's story is
boy,
one that I
crazy,
thoroughly enjoy telling. Not because he's the greatest or anything like that, but because of everything
Shout
that his
out,
story
man.
represents. You can be the baddest man
Shout
in
out.
the world, a jacked modern-day gladiator, while simultaneously battling with yourself every minute of every day. And if even a man who has gone through as much as Mark Kerr has can beat the man in the mirror to be the man he needs to be for his son, then that is a story worth telling.
How does it feel to sit back and know that all your life's work is now about to be portrayed by one of the greatest actors?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was right there by the side, playing you in a movie, The Smashing Machine.
I had the great honor and privilege.
I seen that, and I was like, "Who the fuck?" Now it makes, bro. I'm watching this whole YouTube video the whole time. Didn't know that was the movie. I didn't watch the movie yet, by the way. I seen the trailer and stuff like that. I seen like the stuff they was talking about. I didn't know who it was though, but now I understand. Okay.
Of playing Mark Kerr.
Mark Kerr's story is such an incredible story. Here's a guy who won the 2-time heavyweight tournament, the early stages of UFC, went over to Pride. He had this incredible run, undefeated for a long time.
Surreal's not the right word. I haven't figured out what word fits in there. It's humbling, amazing,
That's tough.
incredible, humbling experience. It feels validating. You know, it's like one of those things, like history sometimes lost if you don't remember it, right?
But also, like all of us, battled these demons.
I competed against some of the greatest men in the world while I was battling the man in the mirror.
And these demons of addiction, these demons of mental health, these demons of getting out and the pressure of fighting in front of 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people, and what that does to somebody.
12,000 people out there cheering for you. That's orgasmic. That's like high.
Here's a guy who has gone through it all, hit rock bottom.
I never could understand it. I just didn't understand why I did the things I did in my life.
But the best part about Mark Kerr is that, like all of us in this room, every day you get up and you want to do a little bit better tomorrow than you did today.
Every fight, inside or outside the ring, you can learn something beautiful from it.
You know, it's part of why I think all this has happened, is to put me in a position to where I can have words of caution and cautionary tales, you know, to help young men. And I know what that struggle feels like.
Recovery just didn't give me back my life. It gave me back my sanity. And with that, it gave me what I was missing most: connection.
In the last 3 years, I've probably cried more than I have in the last, you know, in a lifetime. Realistically, because I'm healing. You know, I'm healing. I feel like it is a story that people gravitate to because of, like, the human condition. All of us have our own struggles to go through. I know through the process of me healing, it gives other people an opportunity to break the cycle. I wear a Rudieris, which is a wooden sword that's given to a gladiator. And so it's not given, it's earned.
On behalf of every fighter, every fan, everyone around the world who has found some sort of strength through your story, say thank you, and we say thank you.
When a gladiator, they're slaves. And so if he has the ability to earn his freedom, he's given to Rudy Aris.
I'm so honored to present UFC Hall of Famer, my brother, Mark Kerr, the Smashing Machine.
And so at this point in my life, I've got my wooden sword, I've earned my freedom.
My purpose is to help someone out there who feels like they can't make it one more second or one more minute or one more hour. I'm here to tell them, what a difference 1 minute makes.
Damn. Bro, this shit, bro, have a nigga damn near in tears. I swear to God, boy. God damn, boy. Shit. That's crazy, bro. Damn. Damn, bro. The thing is, bro, how the fuck? Shit, God, my thing is, like, how the fuck did they capture? They really captured this man doing everything. My thing is, why wasn't they following Alistair? Oh, But that's crazy, bro. I ain't gonna lie, but it's a hell of a story, bro. The fact that you can go through all this stuff, bro, and still come out on the other side, bro. He living, he good, he good. He healing, but he alright. But he's still a legend, bro. A legend. But I feel like you gotta go through stuff to be a legend, bro. You gotta go through all that to be a legend. He ain't had to do all the drugs, understandable. But hey, man, he one of the ones, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like, comment, subscribe, man. Let me know in the comments y'all want me to react to next. That's insane, though, bro. Shout out to Mark Kerr, man.